We're back on the Hitting the Turnbuckle podcast. It's been a week and a bit since we returned from holiday last night back to the cold that is the UK. When you spent a week in the heat of Morocco, this isn't nice weather to come back to. But nevertheless, I go away for a week and TNA decide to change the landscape of their promotion in the course of 1 week. Guys, what are you doing to me? We got so much to catch up on on this edition. But by the way, before we do all that, always remember, download the TNA Plus app because you can't miss a week right now. You cannot miss a week right now of TNA wrestling. To get it downloaded, to get it subscribed, £9.99 a month. 2 cups of Costa coffee a month gets you everything. TNA Impact, pay-per-views, the specials like Turning Point and Final Resolution, which we're going to get into. So this isn't going to necessarily be a week, a recap, sorry, of last week of last night's Impact. It's just going to be a recap of everything. I think it's just the easiest way to do it, especially when so much has gone on. Before we do that, before we get into the recap, the other bit of news coming out of TNA is potential broadcasting rights deal in America with AMC, which is quite a big one for TNA. If that's going to happen, rumors have it that they were in the driving seat that come out this past week. So interesting developments there. Nothing finalized of yet, but it's going to be a really good one for TNA when those media rights gets announced. And if it's as big as that at AMC or something along those lines, it's gonna take them up another notch, I think, in terms of, well, listen, money at the end of the day. Monetary is the key part of wrestling, right? You need to be earning good money. And I'm sure TNA Plus, if it's 20, 30,000 subscribers, is doing that. But, if you've got a regular bit of income there from a broadcast partner, that can take everything they do to another level. So it'd be interesting to see. Nothing confirmed yet, though. However, hopefully there'll be an announcement. I reckon if there's going to be an announcement, it will be kind of like end of the year, turn of 2026 would be my kind of bet on that. It could be as early as next week. Who knows? We don't know what where they are with the rights deal as of yet. But exciting moments, exciting times for TNA on this, and I'm really much looking forward to seeing what happens with that as we come towards the end of the year. Anyway, right, let's get into it. It was a controversial week for TNA on the live impact. So TNA haven't been seen since Band for Glory. They've done a lot of specials over the last 3 to 4 weeks. They come back last Thursday with a live version of Impact, which was great. I loved it. I loved it. I was watching it in Morocco out on the swimming pool, and holiday blues has already kicked in, as you could probably hear. But the main talking point coming out of Impact was two main talking points. One was another NXT invasion. Um, and subsequently, that NXT invasion coincides with the most controversial piece coming out of the live Impact, which was Mike Santana losing the TNA Heavyweight Championship. He hasn't even defended it. This was his first defense. Frankie Kazarian cashed in his shot on Impact last week. And thanks to NXT, won the TNA World Heavyweight Championship. There was lots of theories around this. There was a lot. I mean, there was a lot of backlash on this online. Look, my view on it is, look, I got no problem with it. I just felt that perhaps it could have been saved for Turning Point. Perhaps we'll get into the results of Turning Point in a minute there. Yeah, I feel like it could have been maybe just saved for the special event. Having said that, it was a live impact, so technically it was a special event. There's also rumors that Santana's contract is coming up. There's I don't know what the deal is with that, whether that would really coincide with him losing it so quickly. Maybe. But then you're kind of embedding Santana in a storyline right away, aren't you? Because this, for example, Impact last night, he come out and basically said he was going to take out NXT one by one. The members that come in, there was a lot of members that attacked at the end of this, so it was quite hard to keep. I mean, Charlie Dempsey may have been one of them. Um, Stacks may have been there. Certainly more, lots more TNA guys invaded. But yeah, I wouldn't have thought they would have put him in a program with the TNA guy. The other side of it is, could he be following Joe Hendry? So, as a slight side here, Joe Hendry has gone to the WWE now. That's more of a permanent move for him. He's been on NXT for the best part of 2025, to be honest with you. But now fully fledged in the WWE, or at least in the NXT brand. So congratulations, Joe. Listen, deserved. What Joe Hendry is one of those guys, a bit like a Matt Cardona, that got himself over. Not necessarily got himself over in TNA, no doubt about it, but it was more for the stuff that he was doing outside, the videos and the bits and pieces and the say his name and he and that sort of stuff. Um, it was more to do with that that got the note and that got him recognized, got him noticed. And he's been doing it for years on the indies over here in the UK. But yeah, it was more to do with that. The words got himself over, it was a big thing about that. But is Santana joining it, and that's the way they're going to bring him in? I don't know. I don't know. There was questionings about the change. Yeah, like I said, I feel as if it could have happened the next night at Turning Point, but at the same time, it was special for TNA. It was a live TNA taping. We haven't seen a lot of those yet, and they had to do something on there that was going to get people talking, right? That's what we're doing. That's what the internet has been doing all week about this, is talking about Santana dropping the TNA episode. Whether it's a good thing or a bad thing, TNA got people talking, and everyone was talking about TNA. So there you go. Well, onto Turning Point. We're going to make a quick recap of the Turning Point results here. Jake something in the pre-show. Jake something defeated the hometown man in his hometown and men's fauna. That was a fun match, by the way. That was a really good little sprint match just to get tickle your taste buds, shall we say, before Turning Point. Kalani Jordan did defend successfully the TNA Knockouts Championships against M by Elegance. What a showcase that was, by the way, by M by Elegance. I know Kalani Jordan did win this, but so we say this quite a lot about when you have teams and factions, you don't always get to see them shine individually. Well, this was M by Elegance's moment to shine, and she certainly did in that one. I fully believe a knockout championship could be on her way to M or Heather by Elegance in the coming months. More on the knockouts championship a bit later. Actually, I'm not going to give too much away, but we're gonna talk about the final resolution card as well. So anyway, we'll get into that. But a good win by Kalani Jordan. She retains the Knockouts Championship, so well done at Turning Point, by the way. She has a match coming up this week on Gold Rush against Lei Ying Lee. And there's a third person in that, and the third person's name is gone. So apologies. Danny Luna, maybe. Apologies. AJ Francis defeated social media star BDE. Listen, I've got no problem with that. BDE's TNA, not debut, but first competitive singles match. Done really well. For the most part, I enjoyed it. I thought it was okay. Listen, it is what it is. It's just I not necessarily don't have a problem with social media stars crossing over to wrestling. I just think there's too much of it already. Logan Paul, the boom thing in AEW, and Bad Bunny. The list can go. Ronda Rousey, you could even say, crossed over for a period of time, right? Although she was a UFC fighter, not a social influencer. But you get my drift. Um, yeah, I mean, I didn't have a problem with it, but is what it is. AJ Francis, another one whose contracts I think TNA need to try and keep him. I really do. He's been he's been a standout for TNA, for the last year, 18 months. Look, we bigged him up on here nearly every week. He's been really, really good, and I think that he's one that TNA need to. I mean, Santana's obviously you got to lock Santana down as well, but there's also a point of your spine of your company, right? And AJ Francis certainly fits that bill, so he needs to be kept by TNA. And look, he got the win on this. More on AJ Francis later. We haven't finished with him either. I really enjoyed. This was probably up there with match of the night at Turning Point for me. It was Indy Hartwell, Danny Luna in a no DQ match, and I've been saying this for a while now. Danny has been on a roll as a single. I loved her work over here in the UK, and the majority of that's been in single. She's been in the faction with Subculture with Mark Andrews and Flash Morgan Webster, but she's had so much good stuff over here in the UK, and she's now beginning to showcase that in TNA, and it's been really really good to see. She was on the wrong end of this one this week, not this week, last. She was on the wrong end of this last week with Indy Hartwell picking up the victory in this, but. Do you know what? It doesn't really matter because even in defeat, you can still look like $1 million, and she did. And Indy Hartwell, we know really she should have won the Knockouts Championship at Bound for Glory. Let's not beat around the bush here, but she didn't. Um, so nevertheless, a good win for Indy keeps her in the picture. And look, a defeat for Danny Luna at this point isn't really going to do any damage to her. She's been tremendous in TNA, and as I said, we're getting she's doing her best work now. Yeah, in TNA for sure. So more on Danny Luna later as well. Actually, we haven't finished with Danny yet. The Inspiration, Jessica McKay, and Cassie Lee, they defeated Myla Moore and Victoria Crawford. Tessa Blanchard was unable to compete. And that, by the way, and the Angel Warriors, Lei Ying Lee and Zaya Brookside. They had a nice little triple threat tag for the Knockouts Championship, which the Inspiration got the victory. So well done to the Inspiration, and yeah, we're looking forward to seeing who's next for the Aussie team. Kind of not so. I think it was a bit of a surprise actually. This one. It was a it was six-man tag. Sorry, it was Order Four, which pit John Schuyler, Jason Hotch, and Ali. Of course, Tasha and Agent Zero were there, but they faced off against Cedric Alexander and the Hardys, and it was Order Four that come out victorious in that match actually, which was a surprise, in my opinion. But it does kind of give you potentially a Hodge and Schuyler maybe next in line for the Hardys. Actually, they're not next in line for the Hardys. I found that out this morning, so that's not quite what's going to happen at Final Resolution. But nevertheless, it propels them up the tag team ranks, and surely they'll be in there. This was a good match, by the way. Again, really, really, Hardys. I'm not going to say they're doing their best work because obviously the best work was done quite a few number of years ago, but they're still just so good. Cedric Alexander was great, great partner for them as well. It was just an exciting match. Of course, Agent Zero and everyone gets involved. It's all the four. That's what they do, right? But yeah, still really good six-man tag. All the four picking up the victory, and like I said. Hodge and Schuyler should be knocking on that door for tag team gold, perhaps. Who knows? From a six-man to an eight-man. And it was a system. It was Myers, Edwards, JDC moves. Now, JDC actually announced that after Genesis in January, he'd be retiring from TNA, retiring from wrestling. Um, I mean, what can you say about him? I mean, he's a man again that was given not in TNA. But got over with a shitty character that was given to him in WWE. I mean, let's face it. Um, JDC was Fandango, for as everyone knows, or Fandango, whatever you want to call it, a ballroom dancer or ballet dancer in WWE, and he got it over. He got it over. He got the song over. It went crazy in iTunes, and he done the best of what he got given to him. And he was a great wrestler. And TNA, he was able to showcase that. I mean, the promos a year and a half ago that he was doing and stuff like that. It was just incredible. Um, I'd like to think that TNA will keep him on as a producer or something like that, or yeah, get involved still in that way. Obviously, not in the wrestling format. He's retiring, but yeah, as a uh, agent or something like that needs to looked at. But they took on the Rascals, the full Rascals. Trey Miguel, Myron Reed, Zachary Wentz, and the former Wesley Desmond Xavier. What a match this was! I mean, I said about I said about the Danny Luna and that. I mean, this one. There's another one after this, which probably tops and gets back to the night. It'd be no surprise when I say it when I say who it was against. But this was great. I loved it. And a good victory for the Rascals in this one. I'll be really interested to see because I don't know if he's signed Desmond Xavier. Not sure if he's back full time in TNA. But it was so good to see them all together, the Rascals. Um, the system and listen, the system still wanting to prove that they're going to be the best team or faction in TNA, and maybe they may be on the recruitment drive. JDC's leaving, so in a month or so's time, or 2 months' time. So, Cup of Joe, by the way, needed coming back to this Antarctic weather that we've got. Um, yeah, sister may be on the recruit. Who knows? But yeah, great win. I love that. Such a great Rascals. The Rascals are fantastic. I can watch them. I can watch Slater, the Hardy. I can watch them all day. Really, really good eight-man tag. Speaking of Leon Slater, and no surprise, this was my match of the night. He took on Rich Swann for the X Division Championship, and I've been watching Rich Swann. Actually, he's been on NWA quite recently as well. I don't know. I mean, listen, Leon has been doing some work for WWE. He's going to Triple R coming up. I suppose in a selfish way, I kind of hope we see more of him in TNA. But I get the feeling, and I get the feeling that perhaps WWE may be sniffing around Leon. Him and Javon Evans have been, yeah, they've had a great, you mentioned that match of Battle for Glory, but they had I mean, working as a tag together in the WWE and then going to Triple R doing the same thing. Um, and I kind of worries me how long we have with Leon in TNA. And I knew it was going to happen. I mean, look, once the partnership was announced, once Leon, when you see the kid, it is ridiculous how good he is. And you can watch interview with Leon Slater in our special guest interview playlist below. You can watch him and several other TNA stars. But yeah, it does worry me how long perhaps we'll have of him in TNA before he makes a move to WWE. But look, this match with Rich Swann was brilliant. Rich Swann he's fantastic. I don't know. Does he age? I don't know. He's really really good in that ring, and I enjoyed watching this X Division showcase. And Leon retained. I don't think it was a surprise that Leon retained in this at all. To be quite honest, I wasn't too surprised about that. Um, but nevertheless, a really really good match for TNA for TNA for NXT. No TNA. I'm back from holiday. All right, I'm still suffering. The Blues. Right, and the main event was Mike Santana, Steve Macklin. They defeated Kazarian and Nick Nemeth by pinfall in this one. Um, Obviously, a lot of controversy. Nick Nemeth did try to cash in his Call Your Shot gauntlet, but again, the NXT guys come in and attacked everybody pretty much in this. I don't know where we're going with this, to be fair, because we done the little showcase thing on we done the little showcase show, didn't they, together a few weeks back, which actually drew. I think they drew 2-2 if I'm right in thinking on that. So I don't know. I don't know where we're going with this. I really don't. I'm intrigued to find out where we're going with this. It's an interesting one. I mean, like I said, Santana come out did last night on Impact and has basically put a target on every single one of NXT's roster. So yeah, I'll be looking. I'll be interested to see where we do with that, where they go with this, and yeah, I'm not quite sure, to be fair. It's an interesting one, but yeah, that was so we've moved into this week's Impact, and that's exactly how it started this week. A really good promo from Santana. And yeah, he was gonna love the fans. He didn't want to be here, which you can understand. There was rumors. There was rumors actually before that he didn't show up to Turning Point and stuff like that. We don't know. Did say in this interview that he had to check with himself before Turning Point, and that was that all he was not showing up. TNA had done a good job of kind of playing on the fact that he wasn't there. He was the whole point. Anyway, had a meeting, and the fans deserve to see him in action. That's basically the deal. But he did say, basically put TNA on notice. So There we go. Frankie Kazarian, though, TNA heavyweight champion. There was a bit of a backstage segment. Santino was on a phone call. Kazarian tells Morella he wants an apology signed by Carlos Silva after they blamed him for NXT because obviously he got attacked last week as well. That was a key thing. Was Frankie Kazarian behind this whole NXT invasion? But no. Um, that led to JDC showing up. Questions Kaz's fashion choices. You got to see that. Yeah, I can kind of agree with that. To which then Kazarian insults JDC's wife. Um, and then that led to a whole, well, put your title on the line. JDC wants a title opportunity, obviously retiring at the after Genesis in January. And that led to a main event being set up by Santino Marella, Eric Young versus JDC. The winner goes to Final Resolution to face Kaz. Therein, Kaz, what do call it? So there you go. Now we get into some action we all love on Impact. And this was a fatal four-way women's knockouts contest, and the winner secures the victory and goes one step closer to getting a knockouts championship opportunity. And again, there's two fatal four-way number one contendership matches this week on the Impact, and this was the first one. Oh, oh, solid. I loved these four. The only criticism I say is that look, basically what Tasha Steeles, Danny Luna won this match by hitting Indy Hartwell with a steel chain when the referee's back was turned. The only thing about that is it's a fatal four way. It's no DQ, so it doesn't really matter if she gets a steel chain. She could have got that at any point during the match because the referee can't disqualify her. So I was a little bit confused with that, but nevertheless, he's good. It was such a these four. I mean, they're tremendous. They really are tremendous, and I could watch these all day. Rosemary, which she's she's still incredibly great, talented. Been around for so long now. Myla Grace, one of the newies coming in and showing it, and obviously Danny and indeed the rest. Yeah, that's just you know what can you say? Really great knockouts match to kick off Impact, and Danny Luna on her way to a title opportunity. We'll get into that in a minute. Went backstage to Eric Young. He's not happy. He basically he says TNA are downplaying him despite him being a veteran. He will be the number one contender, basically. Um, the gist of that conversation. Then we go backstage to Santino Morello and Ariana Grace, his daughter. They're talking about the invasion of NXT, and Morella said he needs to lure NXT locker room for payback. And that brings in Steve Macklin and the Hardys. And Macklin is questioning why Morella hasn't come up with a strategy. And Santino says he needs a bit of bait. So Jeff said they already have it, they already have it, and he lifts the championship. And there the bait being the TNA Tag Team Championships. Who's going to step up for that? Who is going to step up for that? Who knows? Right. The next match, Mance Warner, of course, with Steph DeLander, against Matt Cardona or Zack Ryder. Zack Ryder, Matt Cardona back on WWE last week, as was Nick Nemeth returning as Dolph Ziggler on Monday. But Mance Warner, Matt Cardona. This is quite an interesting one for many things because we know Matt and Steph have had a thing on the independent scene. Mance has just recently got married to Steph DeLander. Congratulations on that for the two of you. So there's actually quite a lot of bits out of the scene on there to sort of bring this. It had a bit personal, bits to it, which was good. The crowd loved this. To be fair, I did. At one point I thought Cardona had the match won. He hit radio silence, but Steph Delander did indeed save Mence Warner here. It was a great little scrap. This loved it, really great scrap. And Mence Warner hits the pay the way. Sorry, he hit Matt Cardona with Steph Delander's loaded purse. We know what women could have in those purses. Anything. And then hits pay the way, pay the window, pay window. Fucking, excuse me, pay window for the win. And yeah, that's going to be interesting to see. Well, we know I know where that's going, and we're going to talk about it in just a few short minutes' time. Then we get a message from NXT with the crew led by Robert Stone. And he says everyone thinks that he masterminded the attack, but they couldn't be more wrong. Now, there was a lot of talk that Ava, the NXT general manager, could be behind it. A lot of talk that Ariana Grace could be behind it, but they're teasing something here. And Lexus King was part of this as well. He done a Humpty Dumpty rhyme. For those of you that know what Humpty Dumpty is, go and watch it. That's all I'm going to say. But they were also with Tyson DuPont as well. More on that in a minute because and Charlie Dempsey as well. More on that and Stacks. More on Stacks in a minute as well. Now here we go. You know what I said about Matt Cardona? Well, we're going to know where he's going. Well, we do know where he's going. He's going to Final Resolution. And he has challenged Mence Warner to a street fight. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh my God, that's going to be a bloodbath, I would suggest. Anyway, we'll move on. Myron Reed and John Schuyler was next. Love this was match of the night so far on this one. Looks like TNA are priming Myron Reed for a solo run. I hope they do. I do like Skylar's gimmick in Order 4. He's like an attack dog. I like it. Reed almost dropped himself on his head with a suicide dive in this match. That was Jesus. But look, he's got John Skylar had his teammate Jason Hotch at ringside, and that's allowing him that allowed him to pick the win, albeit with the feet on the ropes. Hmm. But the Rascals and all the four seemingly are nowhere near finished, shall we say, in their rivalry at the moment. We then move to AJ Francis, who's not happy that Rich Swann couldn't get the job done at Turning Point against Leon Slater. And ultimately, that brought out Leon Slater, which the end of that was Leon Slater going to Santino Marella to get an X Division Championship match set up against AJ Francis. And that is indeed happening at Final Resolution. It'd be interesting with that one. I would like to see how that transpires, to be fair. That's an interesting one. Mr. Elegance, the search for Mr. Elegance. Come back around to us again this week. Yeah, Ash made an appearance as well. The first contestant just couldn't handle the Knockouts Championship. um, now, the interesting one. It was Ash's real life husband tried to be Mr. Elegant. You need to see it. Is all I can say. Right. Let's move on to the second of our where knockouts fatal four-way matches. This was Zaya Brookside, Victoria Crawford, Killer Kelly, and Jody Fret. Must say the crowd, I felt as if the crowd wasn't into this more as they should be. Tessa was around this match, and she was I think she was kind of the one that was getting the crowd going on this. Um, I feel as if Jody Fret, I mean, she didn't pick up the win on this. I feel as if Jody Fret should have won this match, just because of the history of Danny. Nevertheless, she didn't. I just feel as if it would have been. Yeah, the crowd just. I don't think they was into this one as much as they should have been because I thought the action was good. I really enjoyed it. Zaya Brookside got the win actually on this, and a Brookski bomb, I think she calls it, finishes her off for this one. Yeah, I just feel as if I don't know. The crowd didn't seem invested in this as they should have been. Tessa though makes anything great. I mean, the crowd will bark at her all night, and she just loves it. Tessa's so good. I don't care what anyone says. She's brilliant, Tessa Blanchard. We do get to see a bit of a profile of a new knockout. Jada Stone earned her contract following a match on Explosion with Myla Moore in June, and she said that she was congratulated by Bailey. Looking forward to seeing more of Jada Stone in the knockouts division. I like TNA, they're bringing up a lot of good stuff right now. Uh, lots of new people coming in, and I'm enjoying it. And yeah, I, yeah, I'm really enjoying what's going on with the way that they're bringing them in, and they're bringing on people um, that are, you know, these hungry, talented, which is what TNA has always been about, right? And that's a good one. I'm looking forward to that. Now, we then get to some matches coming up on TNA Impact. Santino Marella announces a few matches coming up in the coming weeks on TNA. We're going to have the hometown man in his hometown against Brooks Jensen. We're going to have the Hardys, Steve Macklin and Cedric Alexander versus Lexis King, Stax, Tyson Dupont, and Tyreek Igwe. I'm going to say, I fucking can't pronounce those. And Mike Santana and Robert Stone. So they're going to come up in the next couple of weeks on Impact, which is going to be interesting. And we'll get into the final resolution card in a minute. But first, we had to get to the main event, which was Eric Young and JDC. The winners of this match would be the number one contender. Do you know what? In this, it was. I felt as if this was always going to go one way because we know that JDC is retiring, and I kind of think this is TNA's way of thanking him for the work that he's put in. He did indeed beat Eric Young in this match with the Avalanche leg drop, and he does indeed go to final resolution. I do think that's a way of saying thank you to Robert Stone. I want to thank Robert Stone. Jesus. Um, yeah, I feel as if that was their way of thanking him to get him to. He's not. Is he going to beat Kazarian? No, of course he isn't, and that's just my opinion. I don't think he is, but it's a nice way of getting him out and giving him an opportunity ahead of his last match at Genesis in January. So overall, though, solid episode of Impact. I love Santana's opening promo. Myron Reed is a future star in this business, and you know, I'm looking forward to that. And Robert Stone planting the seeds of who attacked. Who was the mastermind behind the attack of NXT? Lots of good stuff. Lots of good stuff. And it's good to see we're kind of clicking, as Ted Hastings in Line of Duty, those of you that know what Line of Duty is over here in the UK, now we're sucking diesel. Is a phrase that he uses. People will know what that means over here in the UK. If you don't, get to know it. It basically is a good thing. It's a good thing, is what I'm saying. Really solid. As I said, I go away for a week and I come back and I have so much to talk about. This is why this episode of the Impact has gone on longer than normal, which isn't a problem. I love talking TNA. But let's talk about the card now that's been announced for final resolution coming up in a couple of weeks' time. So at the moment, um, the Knockouts Championship, we don't know. It's going to be the winner out of Zaya Brookside and Danny Luna. Then we'll go against the Knockouts champion, Kalani Jordan, at this time. We will probably have to talk about that next week because things can change, as we say. We know Leon Francis. This is done in one take, right, folks? We know Leon Slater is putting the title on the line against AJ Francis for the X Division Championship. Um, yeah, I'm going to put it out there already. I think it's been announced anyway. Jeff Hardy, Matt Hardy, the Hardys. We said about Bate. They're putting the tag team championships on the line against High Rise. which is Tyson Dubois and Tyreek Igwe. Mike Santana against Charlie Dempsey. That's going to be an interesting one. Charlie Dempsey, the son of William Regal, going to be a very technical, in your face battle, that one. We know that Mence Warner and Matt Cardona will be going in a street fight. Good luck with that one. Um, Dean Macklin will be defending the International Championship against Channing Stacks Lorenzo. A couple more matches will be announced, and we'll get into that next week. But what a week it has, well, a week or so it has been for TNA Wrestling. Incredible, incredible week. Guys, just keep watching TNA. Get that downloaded, get that app, get downloaded, get subscribed, get onto TNA. Watch this weekly. As I said, for a price of two Costa coffees a month, you are watching or you are witnessing some incredible action, some incredible storylines, an NXT invasion, and so much more. And you need to get into it. Watch it every week. We'll be back. Yes, we'll be back. We got lots coming up on the channel. Full Gear is coming up on the channel. We're going to have two AEW interviews sitting in the booth with two AEW stars, Preston Vance and the Bishop Corn are coming up on the show. We're going to have some NWA stuff. Aaron Stevens rejoins us. EC3 rejoins us. And soon, the new NWA World Heavyweight Champion, Billy Silas Mason, will be joining us as well. Keep it locked at HTT Buckle on X, HTT Buckle on YouTube, Hitting the Turnbuckle Podcast on all other social media outlets. I'm now going to go for a nap. And until next time, everybody, cross that line. Stay safe. Goodbye.